So in this video, I'm gonna switch gears a bit and talk about something that I've been thinking about a lot, and that's the topic of language learning and how, in my opinion, it's really hard to learn language if you're an adult autistic male like me. And before I start talking about it, let me tell you that this video is not for the ones who have managed to learn a second language at an early age, or the ones who tell me that, oh, why do you learn another language? You know English. That's all you need to know. It's the language of commerce, the language of traveling, it's the language of everything. Well, I'm telling you, don't. This is not what this video. This video is not for you because it's something I'm interested in. And why am I interested in learning another language? Well, the reason why is because I really want to know what it's like to know a second language. I mean, being in the US, basically an Anglophone country, I've only known English and I was never taught the language of one of my parents. So I basically grew up monolingual. And there were times in my life when I was scared of languages. So I was not really interested in it most of the time, but nowadays I've developed an interest. And the second interest is it's a bit on the darker side, but I don't really have self-esteem for my own voice and just need some type of change of scenery. I want to learn a language I feel sounds good to me. And this is not for trying to pick up a girl or whatever. I don't care about relationships or anything. It's for my own benefit and my own self-esteem. So now on to the topic of why learning a language is hard for me as an autistic. Well, a big reason why is my detail orientation, basically my obsession with detail and how I just cannot control it no matter how hard I try. And people think detail orientation is a good thing, but unfortunately it's not beneficial in the workforce, according to my experience applying to jobs and me mentioning how I am detail oriented. And from my experience, whenever I say I'm detail oriented, they'll say, oh, that's cool, and then that's just about it. They're not gonna use that as a means to hire me or whatever if I want a job that supposedly wants me to be detail oriented. Now, there are some good aspects of being detail oriented, such as me having eagle eyes and being able to spot things like coins on the ground or just any type of detail, but that's just about it. But here's why it affects my language learning experience. So one of the reasons is because I tend to get obsessed with the meaning of words. I tend to be obsessed with vocabulary, even though many of these gurus online tell me that I shouldn't worry about vocabulary or I should focus on not doing vocabulary, just envision myself as a baby trying to learn his first language. Well, I'm a grown adult and it's hard for me to envision myself when I was a baby. I don't even remember a thing when I was a toddler. I only remember a few decent memories, but that's it. And so yeah, it's just and also with all these gurus online that tell people how to learn language, they're really contradictory because on one hand you see a guru that says oh, go live in another country, or oh, I learned a lot of languages without having to leave my native country, and just see all these along, and then I followed, and I followed their advice, and I just don't feel it is helpful. I just don't know what it is. And one of my biggest struggles for learning languages is listening. I just can't seem to get over the hurdle of listening no matter how hard I try. Now, for those who are going to ask what language you're learning, well, I do not want to mention it in this video because I just don't feel like mentioning it. And I don't know, people will say that, oh, anyone can learn language no matter what, oh. But the thing is, I think it's really hard for me specifically because I'm autistic. growing up, I had struggled socializing. I struggled with reading without pictures. And I would read it, for example, I would read an entire book and then they would ask me questions about like the book to see if I'm following along, and I couldn't get any of the questions right. My reading comprehension skills were really bad back then. So I'd argue it probably took a while for me to learn my native language English. And people and then people are gonna ask me, oh, how did you learn English? Well, basically that was the only language I was hearing all the time when I was growing up. So naturally I've learned that language. That's probably why that is. But like the thing is, like, me wanting to learn language, it's been a really rough journey for me. I don't want to go on about my journey, but like I just don't even know, like, am I supposed to work harder? Is there a trick? Or do I need to find people to talk to? Well, I don't know if I trust looking online for people to talk to with the language I'm trying to learn, because one, as I mentioned before on a lot of my videos, as a guy, it's really hard for me like to build relationships with people, just friendships or just any type of relationship, and my interests are really limited, and it's gonna be really hard for me to find out topics to talk about. And now back onto the vocabulary thing, like, I don't really understand. All my life, I've been growing up taught about like vocabulary, and I don't really understand how I'm supposed to follow along in a story. Because if I want more language, I have to like read or watch stories, like TV shows. I'm doing a lot of that actually, but but if I don't know vocabulary, then how am I supposed to follow along? Because I want to see what's going on. I want to see what the plot is. I mean, but like, it's just really difficult. Things are just so difficult as an autistic. Just anything. It just reminds me of what I can't have in life. Okay, growing up, I just realized there are lots of things I cannot have in life. I'm not going to be able to experience what it's like to grow up knowing how to socialize without having to do speech therapy or whatever, but I just feel like I'm just playing catch up in life, and I know some people, you guys just tell me just give up and don't worry about it and just gaslight me or whatever, but this is what I'm interested in, and you gotta respect that. I mean, when I lose interest, I'll lose interest, but at the time being, this is what I'm interested in right now. Oh, another thing about vocabulary, well, here's one thing I remember. So I've had experiences where I got opportunities to practice in person. And there are times when, like, let's say I'll just go to a restaurant or a cafe and I would order, and then I would have trouble following along with how they reply to me, and obviously, like, they would say vocab words I've never even heard of in my life, and that's another problem with listening. Like, it's like you don't know if you don't know if they're uttering words that you have heard before, but your brain just couldn't your brain just couldn't hear what these words were when in speech form, or you don't know if the words they were uttering were words you have yet to learn, or words or phrases you have yet to learn. I mean, it just really sucks, like, how things are just harder for me as a person, and people just tell me, yeah, just work harder, or just use your mindset, bro. But I'm sorry, it's if you put yourself in my shoes, then you're gonna realize how my brain works. You're gonna realize how hellish it is, like being detour-oriented is not all fun and games. And I feel that, like, if you guys put yourself in my shoes, you're gonna probably understand more of like how hard it is for me to do things. It's not even just language learning, it's just learning things in general, and especially at my age, because I'm not a minor anymore. I'm not a kid anymore. Maybe I just need mentorship. I need a learning style that's tailored more to me. I don't know. Like, I mean, if you guys know things about language learning as adults, then please let me know in the comments below. But with that, just hope you enjoyed my rant, and that's it.